That's the way I see it.
Until it's wartime.
Yeah. Right. Anybody else want to comment? I got 2 more points, and then I'm gonna close out soon because it's getting kind of late. But anybody else want to comment?
Hey, go ahead.
All right, we're moving on. Okay, so this is another thing. There's this really good documentary called. I'll put in the links, but it's about Ellis Island and when the immigrants, the European immigrants came over, their first stop was this hospital to check if they were carrying diseases, if they were carrying if they were either mentally ill or if they were carrying diseases into the country. And if they had diseases that were uncurable, they would send them back. Right, they wouldn't admit him, but they wouldn't admit them inside the country. But one of the first things they did was to check to see if people were ill, because they know if you have disease, you're coming into the country, you're a threat to the population, right?
Those judged healthy enough to work were allowed entry to America. Those thought incurable, insane, or weak were deported.
So, one of the things I want to talk about, last point, is diseases, animals, plants, and how illegal immigration is affecting our health, environment, without properly vetting people. Anybody want to? I mean, I can comment, but anybody want to comment on that?
Can you run that back for me real quick? I'm sorry.
You know, you're lucky you're not in my class.
No, that was not my fault. Like,
was I talking too fast? I know I talk too fast. I freak my students out sometimes when I talk too fast. So basically, I was talking about, there is a documentary based on the hospital at Ellis Island. So when the illegal immigrants would come, or they were legal, I guess, at the time, when they would come into the country, they would stop at this hospital to be checked for diseases and mental illness. And if they were mentally ill, if they had diseases, they were sent back. They weren't even admitted before they can even come and work. You know, all these people that want to say, oh, you know, this country's built on a nation of immigrants and stuff like that. And they want to refer to the people coming from Europe and Ellis Island and stuff. Before they even were able to set foot in this country on land to work, they were evaluated for mental and physical diseases. Right. So with that said, I'll find the documentary, and I watched the documentary a couple months ago. It's really fascinating. I'll put in the links. But with that said, one of the things that we have to worry about when you're not properly vetted as a person coming into this country is the fact that people bring diseases in, right? And maybe even plants and animals as well that aren't in this, supposed to be in this topography. So, you know, even when you go to different countries, when I went to work overseas, I had to get a medical exam. I had to be evaluated for all this stuff before I went to work there as well. So when you're going, you know, to different countries, even as a tourist, you may not have to get a medical exam, but they check you at customs. They look at you and stuff. And if they see that you look diseased or sick, they do not let you in. So one of the things is why, not properly vetting people is also opening the door, basically. Just letting people in. Open borders is basically opening the to disease in the country. What are your thoughts on that? Anybody?
You're saying, okay. You go ahead. You go ahead. You haven't talked much.
I'll be real short. Like, why would you allow people to just come into like your home if they're sick or something like that? Like, get help first. Like, it's just common sense. Like, you don't gotta be nice all the time. If somebody got not herpes and but leprosy, why would you invite them to drink off of your freaking cup? Like, at the end of the day, like, or drink after you or something like that. It's just no disrespect. It sounds so messed up. I know CNN might be watching and sound fucked up, but countries done that in the past plenty of times because they had diseases that they could not like find cures of or some types of remedies for. Like, number one is leprosy. That was the main one back in the days. Like, hold up, brother, no, where you going at? Like, you might have to get that checked out, and then you can come through. But you know, it's not nothing new, man.
I was going to say that I'm thinking when they come across illegal, they won't be able to be tested. And I saw that because I actually did a video on illegal immigration like a couple months ago. And I looked up some of the rules or what the reasons that you could be turned away. And so one of the reasons was if you had like a serious health condition, but I think it was mostly saying like, if they looked like you didn't have the money to pay for it, like a lot of times they come over and they are hoping that we will cover their bill because they won't get it covered here. And so I do think that a lot of times they are coming over illegally because they do have an illness and they won't be let in, and they don't have the money to even pay for it to get fixed. And they're intending to come over and get treated, because we won't turn people away, even no matter what Obama says. No, if you come in with the disease and you're really sick, they're going to treat you. It doesn't matter. They're going to treat you. Someone else is going to have to foot the bill, but they're still going to treat you.
There are a lot of people that have diseases that are going under the radar too. That's my point as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And so like if they coming in illegally too, I mean, no one's going to really know at all if they have something, if they run across the border.
Yeah, they have diseases when they come into the United States, and they know they can get, trust me, these people talk, okay? They got family members that live over here because, you know, I've dealt with several like foreign families. I dealt with Jamaicans. I dealt with people from Trinidad. I dealt, you know, from, you know, other countries, and they tell their people in their countries what to do when they come over here to the United States. They tell them how to get over here. They tell them what jobs to apply for, what Medicaid to apply for. Because I seen it actually in Florida, where there was a Haitian lady that she was hooked up with the Mexican people. So if they had a legal come from Haiti or they had a legal come from Mexico, they would put those people with the Haitians or the Mexicans. And, you know, they had a system, you know, how to go get the, if they had children, how to go get the children signed up for school that week, how to bypass all the shots that the child was supposed to get. So they're all, you know, working together. And they know what medical benefits, you know, welfare benefits to go get on. So they know when they come over here, they know they can get on welfare and they know they can get on Medicaid because they family members that are living over here is schooling them on what to do. So, you know, they know how they, you know, to migrate their children through school. And then we have a problem. Then we wonder why that, you know, we have a opiate addiction because, you know, the entire pharmaceutical industry is internationally, you know, controlled. And, you know, it's all about making money. OK, the more they keep people sick, the more people going to have to come back and get that medicine. And, you know, that's, you know, is what's going on. And then these international people, you know, they got you know, they people that's working inside of the hospitals, you know, working, you know, for the clinics and stuff. So, you know, they people was getting, you know, free health care too, you know, from different countries. And, you know, they also have, you know, these foreign people that, you know, are in the United States that aren't American friendly. OK, then you wonder why, you know, some of these and I've heard this, too, because I know a couple of guys that this happened to, that they brought it to my attention. These pharmaceutical drugs is giving these men gay tendencies. OK, that's why we got these little kids and all this, you know, turning gay because of the medication, the stuff they putting in the medication, you know, that we don't know. If you took chemistry class and you mix all kinds of stuff together and you put it inside of a human body, you don't know what the outcome may be. So there's a lot of stuff that, you know, we don't know about.
Is it the hormones and the atrazine? I know atrazine and just some of the stuff that they put. I mean, don't get me started. We talk about the pharmaceutical industry. That's a whole nother.
Yeah, that's a whole nother ball game.
That's a whole nother
ball game.
I thought I was going to start talking about the frogs or something.
Yeah, but you know about that? You know about that, right? You know
that? I know that it's real though, because I'm like in seafood and all that.
The atrazine, it was an herbicide that that they sprayed like to kill weeds, and then the runoff was going in the water. So there was a scientist who was there are other scientists that have discovered this in nature too, but he was studying the frogs in their environment. And some of the frogs that would mate with other women, they started to mate with men, or they also turned like gay. I'll just say gay. But it was something. It was gay, and it was another anomaly that happened. I'm just getting tired.
And then that's why we have an AIDS epidemic, because I don't know if people know that a while back they caught like countries like Germany that were impacting and sending over tainted blood into the United States with AIDS in it, HIV, the virus actually in it. And, then, they are putting, like I said, stuff in these pharmaceutical drugs that, we're not aware of, and people are giving them to their children, and we're taking them, and we don't know what these international countries are putting in those drugs. And then we wonder why our country is the way, we are, because we're reliant. That's part of our economical resources. Monsanto is also, Germany, Monsanto and Bayer and, Stringica, La Roche, all of them, GlaxoSmithKline, them is all German-based corporations. And then, people talking about Nazism. That's where the Nazism is coming from. They own our pharmaceutical industry. What do people expect? Okay, Germany is Nazi. People forgot about the KGB and, all of that World War I. And Germany actually, after World War I and World War II, people don't realize Germany came up with diseases. Okay, it was actual diseases that I had this on my blog. Actual diseases where they had the Ebola and all these other diseases.
Biological warfare.
Yeah, right? We've had them here in the United States. So this is what we're dealing with. We don't know what these people are bringing over here to these to the United States, but how can we catch them?
If you guys want to know more info on that too, kind of just to get some insight into what Kaila's saying, there's if you guys have heard of Operation Paperclip after World War II.
Yes,
the United States, basically, what am I trying to say? The Germans were really at a high technological level. So when a lot of countries wanted their research, the scientists for their research. So Russia got some of them, a few other countries got some of them, and the United States got the majority of the scientists, and a lot of them were experimenting with biological warfare, chemical warfare, mind control, all of this experimentation, and they actually went underground.
It was policy to hire whomever could provide useful information, regardless of whether they were a war criminal or not.
How far did the U.S. government go to cover up the wartime records of these recruits? And nearly 60 years later, does the American public know the whole truth?
They can claim that they turned over everything, but we have to trust the government to believe that.
It was a scandal. It was one of the great scandals of modern American intelligence history.
It's legit. I mean, not that I always agree with Wikipedia, but I mean, just for a reference, there's a Wikipedia page if you want to look at Project Paperclip or like Operation Paperclip. It talks about that.
I did extensive research because, when I say I did research, people don't understand. When I did research, I went into China's country. I went into Germany. I was translating information from English from, their country. And they actually were giving these scientists Nobel Peace Prizes after World War I and World War II to come up with these diseases. But that information, I can tell you this much. When I was researching my pharmaceutical industry and I was going into these countries, they hacked my computer. I was threatened. I talked to several lawyers that told me if I didn't shut up, they was going to kill me. So I had to back off on that because if people have watched the pharmaceutical industry, they'll see they're killing off these holistic doctors. So anybody that speaks out against the pharmaceutical industry, they are attacking us. So you have to be very careful because I was told this. And I seen them do stuff. I was even followed in North Hollywood because I was digging into Germany too deep. So this is a dangerous game that we're dealing with because it's a $1 trillion industry. They have the pharmaceutical industry and they have the agriculture industry, and they have partnered with other international countries. And a lot of them are political donors. A lot of them are in the UN. A lot of them are in our federal government. They work with our Interpol. So a lot of this research, you guys can go look on yourself on my blog, rather. And you can see all my extensive research. And I did all of this back during the Obama administration, where I sent my research to Obama administration back in 2014. Obama turned around and made me a federally registered contractor with the federal government based off of my pharmaceutical research. So that meant my information that I submitted to the federal government during the Obama administration in regards to what was occurring in our country, where I found in these other countries I was researching in, not only in America, was correct. So Obama agreed with me. And then I also called for, after the pharmaceutical research, and I became, because I'm a cancer and disease survivor from a birth control device. And when I was going through all this, this is when I was going through my research. And I also called for the resignation of the head of the FDA at the time. Her name was Margaret Hamburg. She was a African-American, she's mixed with something. I called for her resignation, and the woman resigned because I submitted my pharmaceutical research to them and what I found. So there's a lot of corruption and deep stuff going on, but I just want to bring that to everybody's attention. So be mindful and be careful, because, you know, this is no laughing matter, because there's a lot of women that, you know, out there that take birth control products that are eating this food. And these are your mothers, these are your sisters, these are your aunts. Okay, a birth control device can kill a woman because it's in the inside of her. It's not on the outside. And these chemicals are releasing inside of her body. So a lot of women aren't aware of this. And this is why we have that female genital mutilation. It's going on through women's reproductive health, because what it can go unseen because it's up inside a woman's body, and they're sterilizing young women where they can't reproduce also. So there's a lot of stuff that, you know, needs to be brought awareness of in regards to this pharmaceutical industry and how it's impacting the American race, and especially women's bodies. So I did a lot of research in regards to that. So that's why I'm very familiar with that. And I've been fighting the federal government, especially the Obama administration, since 2014, because there's a lot of dirty stuff going on internationally that I found as far as our healthcare industry goes.